Hello, good morning to our live talk program. This is Lloyd here, your host on Revive Reform Radio, during our live talk program covering wisdom for living on your Friday morning. Rise and shine and give God the glory. And this morning here, we're looking at a topic: a prudent person foresees danger and take precaution. And we're looking at Proverbs chapter 22, verse 1 through 5. So this is our morning talk program here. Hopefully, you had a blessed night rest and you're ready to take on this morning. Welcome. Let's pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, we thank thee again for the blessings of your word. We thank you, dear Lord, for the blessings, dear Lord, of knowing thee. Pray, Father, that as we continue to study, continue to observe nature and observe life, that you may continue to reveal yourself to us by thy Spirit. May you bless us, dear Lord, and educate us in your ways. This is my prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. So we are looking at this topic here. A prudent person foresees danger and takes precaution. And so that's what we want to be able to do in our life, in all aspects of our life, to be able to foresee the dangers that are lurking near, lurking by, and we want to be able to take precaution. And so we want to be cautious in many different things in this life. And so this is taken from Proverbs chapter 22, verse 1 through 5. As we move into Proverbs chapter 22, and I'm going to read the first 5 verses, and I'm going to discuss briefly 4 of them, and then I'm going to get into the main one, verse 3. And so Proverbs chapter 22, verse 1 through 5. It says, "A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and love and favor rather than silver and gold. The rich and poor meet together. The Lord is the maker of them all. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hide himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. By humility and the fear of the Lord are riches and honor and life. Thorns and snares are in the way of the froward. He that doth keep his soul shall be far from them." And so verse 3 and 5 put forward the similar idea here. Very similar idea about the way that is in front of us. And as you look at the way in front of us, you see here that the more simple a person is the more trouble they get into. And so the way, it's always go back to the way. It's the path of life. And this is very important, especially as I say these 2 verses that are in this introduction, opening statement here of Proverbs. This idea here of the way is there. So the way that we live, we come into life, as you all know, as children, and as the way we come into life, we kind of come in a disadvantage, so to speak, because we come in a disadvantage. We come in learning, and we have to gather information as we come up into life. But life is rolling on, and we are learning things. We don't understand human nature. We don't understand the world. We're trying to learn the world. And that's put us as a unique disadvantage, each and every one of us. And so what I've observed, especially as I look at a lot of the problems that are happening in life, and I look at the problems that I've dealt with in life, is that disadvantage can be, can be cut down, reduced. The disadvantage of not knowing and being naive, inexperienced, unthinking. You see what I'm saying this in a few minutes. By simply learning from others' mistake. And this is why you go to school. You go to school to learn, but most of what they're teaching you in school is they're teaching you what they have learned when it comes on to academics, to be able to work. But for day-to-day lifestyle choices, one is not taught that much. And the sad reality and the good thing in that is that we can go to the Bible, and the Bible can shortcut this experience for us and make it easier for us, so that we don't suffer from ignorance. And this is how I see the Bible. Bible is just basically giving me like some insights as to how to how to learn quickly from others who have made the path clear because they've used the examples and the experience and they've laid it down for me to be able to go and study it. I can study their way, how they live, how they came up into life, and what lessons they learned. And then I can now learn from that and avoid trouble. But this is the problem that I've seen, and this is, as I said, this would be my statement from what currently I see going on, is that I noticed that there's this constant push where people say, well, the Bible is man-made, and so the lessons in there are irrelevant. And so there's a whole generation, especially here. I have to talk about here because I don't know what's going on per se fully or clearly in other places. They take the Bible and they throw it away, especially young people. And they say it's irrelevant. And then they go along in life without that massive amount of people's history, human history from some of the wisest men that ever walked the face of the earth. And in that, they make some massive mistake because that alone is phenomenal. You know, I know they say, well, there's the rest of the Bible that teach about spirituality and teach about God and all that. But they miss that the Bible is a lesson book of lessons on life, how to live and how not to live, how to not be a foolish, wicked, evil, stupid, ignorant, inexperienced person in life. And so this text here again brings me to this thought. It's replete through the Bible, but especially when it comes into Psalms and Proverbs. It teaches you lesson of life and it tells you how to live life. Not so much, you know, as I say, just about worship and prayer and whatever, because a lot of the context of worship, it has to do with evil, good and bad, evildoers and so forth. And so you see the mess that's going on with young people in our society. And while you see the mess that's going on, you listen to them, they more than anybody else talk derogatorily, or derogatory ways about the word, the Bible. So these verses again going to bring to my mind brings to my mind the beauty of the Bible, that it's primarily I shouldn't say primarily it's about God, but it's about man. It's man life here on earth and how best to live. And when you follow that, you know, you're just getting, as I say, you're communing with some of the wisest men that ever walked the face of the planet. And that's my little thing there before I go back into the verse. So Proverbs 22 verse 1 through 5 again. It says, a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and a love and favor rather than silver and gold. And this is so true. A good name. You know, how do you go through life and not learn this? And thinking you learned about evolution and you read 2 information or 1,000, 10,000 information about how the satellites and how rocketry work and how various different chemicals work. But you don't learn this information, you're going to get whipped and get whipped hard through life. And you're going to come through life beaten up at the end of life. And because you didn't learn this. And somehow this is what they've taught our young people, that this is irrelevant information. But because you learn something about how mud, the chemical composition of mud, you are the best person in this world, the brightest. So a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. So you see a person and he's a multi-billionaire and he has a terrible name. God says it's better that person had a good name than having the riches. It doesn't say it would be nice for them to have both. That'd be great. But he says this name, having a good name, good reputation, is better than having great riches. And we see this on display, especially right now in our history. Having that good name is really worth it. And over the years, I don't care who I've dealt with, whether they were just a regular person, whether a person was secular or not secular, whether they were a Christian or not Christian, whether they were rich or whether they were poor. It doesn't matter the state of life. A person that has a good name is worth in great riches. It's just good to have a good name. It's terrible to have a name where you're a deadbeat, no good, you're a thief, you're a con man, you're a this, you're a that. But so is life. There's always enough people to support even mass murderers. Then it says here, a love and favor rather than silver or gold. This again, many people, many individuals who have come to their 50s and 60s and realize that this is true. And probably somebody should tell them that all you're working for, all you're doing, it will be better for you to receive love and favor than to receive silver and gold, than to have silver and gold. Love and kindness, love and favor, somebody to love you. How many men today, this weekend, is going to kill themselves because they've built up a life where they have some money, they have a career, they have something, but they don't know what it is like to have love and favor. They don't know what it is like to have kindness. They don't know what it is like to be favored in a loving way. But they know what it is like to have money paid and connected to the right people and be able to have strings pulled for them and things done for them in a court system and in various different systems because of their money. But they don't know what it is like to have love and favor. They have bought everything in their lives. The women, the children, everything that they have it because silver and gold. But they don't know what it is like to be loved. And so the Bible tells us this is better. That is worth everything. And especially when you see so many people, they have come to the end of their life and they decide it was not worth it. And they need to check out because all they have is silver and gold. And that's nothing. Love and favor is sweeter. It's sweeter to be loved and to be shown favor because of love than to be shown favor because you have to pay for it. That's just the reality of life. It's sweeter to have it where somebody is loving you because you're a nice person. And so this is where you find so many young people. Yeah, they're boastful about their ignorance of the Bible and of life, but yet they're depressed and suicidal because they don't understand loving favor and they don't understand good name. That it doesn't matter how you look, it doesn't matter how tall you are, how short you are. It doesn't matter all of that. What matters is, are you loved? Do you have a good name, a good reputation? So this is why, even in that text, a prudent person foresees danger and take precaution. Because that's what the Bible is doing. It's teaching you what is dangerous in this life. And it's telling you, take precaution. So we take this precaution. Verse 2 says, the rich and poor meet together. The Lord is the maker of them all. And that's the reality of life. There's this always reality of life is always there. Everybody kind of connect to each other somewhere, somehow. The poor will always be with us because the richer the person gets, the more they want poor people to do their gardening and to do their, take care of the food in the house and so forth. When it comes on to church, when it comes on to religion, when it comes on to all that, they meet all together. The Lord is the maker of them all. And so it's always important to walk humbly before one's God, no matter what your status in life. Our main verse here, the prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. But the simple pass on and are punished. We'll come back to that verse. By humility and the fear of the Lord are riches and honor and life. And so it's important. It's like we all trying to get to the same place, so to speak. But it's the process of getting there. They say in life you have to learn to enjoy the journey. In life, that's just part of the issue. You enjoy the journey. So we're all trying to get to the same place, so to speak. And it's how you go about it. Now, I know somebody said some people are not trying to get to heaven, so to speak. But people want to be happy in this life, and how you go about it is important. So by humility and the fear of the Lord are riches, honor, and life. Somebody said, well, there's people who want riches, honor, and a good life, but they're not doing it through humility and the fear of the Lord. That's true. That is so true. A person wants the good life. Yeah, that's true. But do they want it through humility and the fear of the Lord? No. So it's just everybody's trying to get to the same place. It's just how you get there. Remember, even the concept of going to heaven is the Christians say, I want to be saved. I don't want to live this life with all this misery and then just die and that's it. I believe there's something else. So we're still trying to get to happiness. We're still trying to get to the crown and the harp, the robe, the Garden of Eden. No more pain, no more suffering. But on earth, we're trying to get to the same place. Everybody wants a happy life. They want a happy relationships. They want a good career. They want to be safe. They want to be able to enjoy their food. It's all the same thing. But the difference is, how do you get there? One person look at it and say, well, I want to get there. I want to get there through pride. I want to talk my way there. I want to lie my way there. Now a person look at the Bible, and the Bible teaches you, say you still can get there through humility. And this seems counter the culture, because you normally see the people getting by, getting forward. They seem to be the people who are full of themselves. But you think about your life when I was in my probably late teens, early 20s. I remember seeing program like, various different, I think it's MTV that started the reality TV program. And you see they're going and covering some young people living a certain lifestyle. And that kind of tells you they're living happy. And then like 20 years later, you see the news and they say, oh, this person from The Real World. I think that was a program. I remember when I was young, I saw that program, The Real World. And I was like, wow. Because it's giving you a eyesight or insight into how some crazy young people are very liberal. And I should say liberal, but very worldly. That's the right word. I'm getting caught up into the jargon here of our society. Some young people that are very worldly, how they're living. And then later you see them, their life is a wreck and a mess. And you say, well, I thought they got the riches, honor, and the life. But you realize real quickly, no, they didn't get it. They lost it, actually. So the Bible teaches a different way. You can get what they think they're getting, but they're just being robbed. You can get it, but you get it by humility and the fear of the Lord. It's a different methodology, but you get to the same place. And that's what's important. It's important to understand. You'll get where you need to get to, but you get there in a different way. Another person's trying to get there, but they're getting there through pride. They're getting there through disrespecting God. They're getting there through not starting out life, learning the proper way through humility. And they don't get there. So you want to be able to get to the place. You want to get to the jumping off point where you can see that you're living life. And the problem that puts it off, I think, a lot for especially those of us who are committed to following Jesus and committed at a young age, is that often you commit and there's people around you, but they themselves have not made up their mind how exactly they're going to live. They're living life the way the world would have them live. And so they can't teach you anything. And so here, this is why I really believe in wisdom for living. So I'm going to go back now to and then I'll read quickly verse 5 again. Thorns and snares are in the way of the froward. He that keep his soul shall be far from them. So I'll do 5 and then 3, since 3 is my main focus. So thorns and snares are in the way of the froward. A froward person is a person that is difficult to deal with and is contrary. They're working against you, but ultimately working against themselves. So I'll read it this way. Thorns and snares are in the way of the person that is difficult to deal with. He that keep his soul shall be far from them, far from the thorns and snares. So that's a beautiful starting off point for Proverbs 22. Because if you ever dealt with people who are difficult to deal with, they're just difficult to deal with. It's just like, you grit your teeth. You're like, man, this person is so difficult to deal with because they're so contrary. You feel pain. You feel thorn. Every time you come around them, it's like you're pricking yourself with thorns and snares. You're like getting caught into traps and rat traps and mouse traps and all kind of trap, bear trap, clunk, man, bird traps, because the person setting traps for you. And you're thinking, man, it's a mess to deal with this person. Thorns and snares. But then you don't stop because you're in pain from dealing with the person. So you're thinking about your pain. But you don't stop and thinking, wait a minute. If it's this painful for me to deal with this person, just a little bit, imagine how painful it is for that person, how painful that person's existence is 7 days a week, every day of the year. Because thorns and snares are in the way of that person, that froward person, that difficult to deal with. A froward person is just a person that is difficult to deal with. They're contrary. It's like deal with them, you just want to rend your garment, start tearing your clothes, pulling your hair out, just go back because it's just painful. But then you stop and say, wait a minute. If it's this painful, because they're contrary, and when a person is contrary, they're contrary to themselves. They contradict themselves. They're doing things to cause their own pain. Because thorns are in their way. They're walking in the way, la da da da, and you'll be like, no, that's gonna hurt. It's just, that's gonna hurt. Because they're doing things against themselves. And then you think, oh no, they're just causing me pain. And then you stop and say, wait a minute. Yeah, they cause me pain, but they're causing themselves more pain. Because that's their lifestyle. Their lifestyle is a pain. If somebody say, you're a pain to deal with, or they say you're a pain in the neck, or you're a pain in the posterior. And then you say, well, they're a pain for me, but you're not thinking, no, they're a pain for themselves. Because pure problem, because the way they behave and the way they reason, the way they talk, the way they think, the way they live, pure pain. Because everything that they do, so the way they think, is going to cause thorns in their lifestyle, in their way. Because they're difficult to deal with. The way they act, everything they do is just going to be thorns. Because it's just the process of how they do life. They do life where they go down the thorn path. I'd be like, that's contrary. Why are you walking in the thorns? Why you walk? That's a trap you're walking in. Why are you going into that trap? And they go into the trap and you hear clink, 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 and the trap closes on them. And you see them all wrapped up and mangled up and bleeding from the trap. And you'd be like, man, this person is contrary. And sometimes they do it to spite you. Because that's what it is when a person is very of a thornful, forward way. They're difficult to deal with. They will make a decision to hurt you or to spite you or to do it against you, so to speak. And they'll walk into a trap just to hurt you. You're like, wow, you're upside down in that tree. Why do you walk in that snare? Why were you walking that snare? Oh, I just do it so I can get back at you. Really, but you're hanging upside down in a tree. Your foot is caught in the trap and the trap went off and dragged you how many feet in the air. And you do that to hurt me. I'm hurt, all right. Wow. So that's what's going on. And you see this all the time. And so that's why the Bible is so beautiful. So you can see a person difficult to deal with and they think they're getting you because they're just, I'm not going to work with you. I'm not going to make it easier for you. And you'll be like, really? Are you hurting me? Well, I'm hurt, all right, because I'm just hurt that I say you're so difficult to deal with. But you have to live with you. And you have to live with you 24/7 of the day. And you have to deal with those traps. Bon voyage. So, but he that keepeth his soul shall be far from them. The person who keep his soul shall be far from those snares and far from the people who are forward. Because you're trying to protect yourself. You're looking out for yourself. You're trying to figure out life. You're trying to figure out how not to get into trap, how not to make dumb decisions. And you're trying to see the traps coming in. You're trying to see the way to walk where you're like, okay, there's a mine over there. It's going to blow my foot off. I better not go over there. The fraud will be like, don't talk to me, and they shrug their shoulder, and they're difficult to deal with, and they're thinking they're getting back at you because they're gonna hurt you. And I'm like, hurting yourself. So the thorns and snares are in the way of the forward. And we're gonna talk about some of that because the rest of the talk is talking about that. So a person that is difficult to deal with, on the contrary, is similarly described in Proverbs chapter 22, verse 3. It to me expands on the idea. Notice here it says, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. There goes the thorns and snares again. So a prudent man. Now a prudent man is a person that is acting with or showing care and thought for the future. So a prudent man is a person, or a prudent person, male or female, is acting, so the way they act, or showing care and thought for the future. You could say the same thing like for a child in school. You see a child in school, you see them say this is this a session or a period, and the period is a teacher didn't show up, and so there's no teacher for that period. So a prudent student goes take out the book for the period and go over the schoolwork and read and try to use that time to probably finish up school homework or redo some homework that they had for the next period. Students not prudent. They're not acting or thinking for the future. It's time to have fun, and they gone off to have fun. So you see, the prudent person foresees the evil and hideth himself. A simple person pass on and is punished. So the prudent student now, they're looking for the future. So the prudent student, 10 years from now, they settle in, they have a job, they do their thing. The simple person is there and they're there begging for handouts. But it wasn't when they're there begging for handout things started. Because they might say, well, such and such happened to me. But yes, something probably happened to them along the way. But what really happened to them was that those days that they weren't there doing their schoolwork. So life is going to be difficult for them because within a few years they messed themselves up. But they're going to tell you all kind of stories that happened probably the last 5 years. But that brought them to that place. But that's not what brought them to that place. They would have to go back 10 years when they were goofing off. So to me, prudent is acting or showing care and thought for the future. One of the most famous use for this, I would say probably in America, famous use for this word prudent is the company called Prudential, because prudent often is connected with finance. Prudent is often connected with a person who is a money manager. So you say the money manager is prudent, or you say the investment firm is prudent. You would want to put your money with a person who is doing everything that they're thinking future, because you normally don't invest for this year. Normally you don't invest. That's a savings account, money under the mattress, money in your bosom. Normally that's for the present. For the future now, when you're going to do investment, I'm not plugging Prudential. I don't know nothing about Prudential. It's just what pops into my head. But when you're going to invest for the invest period, you're normally thinking about money that you're putting away that you're not using for your bills, and you're not thinking you're going to use for the most part within the next 5 years or 2-3 years. But I really think probably more than 5 years. So hopefully that's fair. That's how I think, at least. So if you say I'm going to invest the money, you're not looking back for it. Probably no more than, not earlier than 3 years. 3 years probably the quickest. But most of the time you're thinking probably 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the road. So if you're investing money that you're thinking, okay, I'm investing for retirement. I'm investing money that I'm not gonna use them. I don't want to buy it. Probably I don't want to. I don't. Even if I'm gonna use it and buy something, I'm buying it with a future investment. So say you already have your home, you have your bills taken care of, and you're paying month to month, but you think I can slip off, say $5,000 a year or $2,000 a year, whatever it is. It's not money for savings account, and I'm gonna invest it. I want to invest it with a company that is prudent. And I'm going to invest in a prudent company because I'm making this investment and I want to put it with somebody that is acting with or showing care and thought for the future. Because this money here is not a current investment money, it's a future. So normally you wouldn't want to invest it with somebody at the tracks. You would take that type of money and say, I'm going to the track or I'm going to the casinos and I'm going to do some investment. That's not that's high risk. That's here and now. Here today, gone tomorrow. You don't want your money there, you see, because you're being prudent. You're looking for a future. Now, why are you looking for a future? Because you see something coming that others don't see. You see that there's days coming when there won't be, my body won't do for me what I want it to do. You see, there's days coming where your brain won't do for you what your brain, what you can do right now. So you say, for those days, when my physical health is not there, when my mental health is not there, I have put some money with somebody's prudent. This is where I say one of the more famous company is Prudential, because they're supposed to be, I guess, prudent in their dealings. So anyhow, so not plugging them, just saying. So that's where prudent come in. So normally when we read a text like this, we could just think somebody walking on the road and they have a gun or a machete on them and they're prepared for a wild animal to attack them. That could be prudent if you live in an environment where you have things jumping off trees on you. Yeah, that could be a prudent thing. But we're not looking at. I don't look at it this way. I look at it as life choices. When you make life choices, you're making life choices in a prudent way, because again, we're not animals. You see, animals working from instinct. They just go by whatever. They're not, like probably the squirrels will stack up a little bit, ants will stack up a little bit, bees. But for the most part, animals just kind of go along eating as they go along. They don't start farming. They don't farm. They don't build silos, so to speak, to a certain degree. I guess bees and ant. But for the most part, animals do. But for us, we have that type of understanding, and then we have history, we have the Bible, we have other things to kind of teach us along how not to make certain mistakes. So when we look at this, the prudent man foreseeth the evil and hide it himself, but the simple pass on or punish. So there are many evils and many things that we can foresee and we can avoid, it, and we good. Another person be like, man, what's going on? And they get whap. Like the text verse 5 says, thorns are in the way of the forward, because you can't talk to the forward. As a matter of fact, I believe for the most part, unless the person is having the Spirit of God working on them, a forward person don't have no time to even listen to talks like this, because they like being foolish and difficult to deal with. But when the Spirit of God starts coming upon you, that forwardness comes off of you like scales. You start learning to not be so difficult and start listening, so you can be taught. So I simply just pass on dumb, and then they're going to get beaten up. But that's not the way for us. Now, 3 quick translation of verse 3. New Living Translation renders it, a prudent person foresees Dangers. A prudent person foresees danger and take precaution. The simpleton goes blindly on and suffers the consequence. So I particularly like that one. I like the ones I choose here. So this broadens the idea. A prudent person foresees dangers and take precaution. So a prudent person. So this is where I say this is more in line. See, as I said, that's why I think the word prudent is often used in when it comes down to like a money manager or a person trying to manage their life well. Because a prudent person foresees dangers and take precaution. So you can foresee certain things. You can say, wow, and I'm going to cover some of those in a second. You can say, wow, these things are going to happen. So because these things are going to happen, I better take precaution because I can see it coming. We're going to talk about some of them. Very important. What we're going to talk about in the next few minutes. Right? So you foresee the danger and you take precaution. But the simpleton goes blindly on and suffers the consequence because they can't see. They'll be like, oh, things are great, things are excellent. Ooh. And what are you doing? You're preaching, you're teaching doom and gloom. I'm like, no, I'm not teaching doom and gloom. I really believe in what I'm saying. Don't mess with that. You'd better listen. And they'll be like, oh no, I'm difficult to deal with. I ain't gonna listen to you. Whap! And they get caught up in a snare. And you'd be like, man, only if they listen. And I've seen so much of this over the years. And for me, why you think I'm interested in wisdom for living? Because it just was just the process of me not trying to take hits. I don't like taking hits. I don't like getting caught in snares. I don't like thorns. It wasn't because of anything per se, personally, or anything better. It was just I'm just trying to understand life because I hate going through life and getting hits through ignorance or being a simpleton or being just dumb. And I'm like, why? Because if it's avoidable hit, why take it? If you can avoid a hit, why take the hit? That's just the point. The point is if you can avoid the beatdown. Sorry, a little hoarse here. But if you can avoid the beatdown, why would you not take the precaution? If you can know historically certain things going down, why take the hit? Like I remember when the 2008, 2007 financial crash came, the people I was working with, they all was saying a crash is coming. But you go on the television, there were people in 2008 saying they were shocked. And I was like, what? The people I was working with, they were not no financial geniuses. They were just people who just work in a certain financial industry. And they knew, it's like, man, this thing is done. And that's what they were saying from 2007. They said, it's done. Like what? Done. So if they could know, why would I want to learn from them and then take that precaution before the hit come? And before everybody's being shocked? Because if they knew this, and this was information that people knew, then you could be like, oh, so the hit is coming? Yeah. You take your money off your stock market. You just like, I cash out. I take whatever penalties, whatever hit, I'll cash right out. I'll hold that money. I put it in a secure account. I put it out on my mattress, wherever. And when everybody get wiped out, then I re-enter the market and buy low. So that's what a prudent because so then a person is acting like that. You want to be able to work with that person or learn from that person because that person is prudent and that person is a good money manager. But a prudent person, they foresee the danger and take precaution. But a simpleton going on blindly on and suffer the consequence. So if you knew that it was coming in 2007, that was a year for you to sell your house. Because that was as high as your house was going to get. So you cash out. And then when the market get wiped, you re-enter. You'd be like, okay, it's time for me to enter. And then you could literally go back and buy your same house and buy it for half the price. Why wouldn't you do that? Or buy a house that is double the value for half the price. And now somebody say, oh, you live in large. It's like, no, I'm not, you live in large. I'm just a good money manager. And the same reality is coming. The same reality is coming because you can do the math and you can see that we're gearing up. Because although there's people saying, oh, things are doing great, we're doing great again, they're not calculating all the financial hits that are going on. And that we're messing up the economy and making it, that says we're going to wipe it clean. So anyhow, Christian Standard Bible renders verse 3. A sensible person sees danger and take cover, but the inexperienced keep going and are punished. And this verse here makes it even better for me. Why? To me, understanding. I wanted to get ahead of the game, because for me, understanding wisdom and understanding life was so important that it has been something that I've been trying to make those decisions, because I realize, as the Bible said, silver and gold is not the aim. The aim is wisdom. So I believed it. So notice it says, but the inexperienced keep going on and are punished. Because it's not really, it's inexperienced. It's just the reality of being an inexperienced person. When you're inexperienced, you don't understand why. You see like a person stop, and you be like, why he stop? And inexperience will not make you stop and say, hey, look, let me ask you this, why you stop? See, an experienced person will be like, why are you hiding underneath the desk? That's inexperience. An experienced person is like, oh yeah, back in the 60s, they used to do these nuclear drills. So when you hear that, you hear that horn go off, a person who have that experience will know, oh, it's time to take cover, something is coming. And you take cover. But when you don't have that experience, you don't know. So I remember the first time I visited, first and only time I visited Kansas, I think it was, yeah. And I didn't hear the horns, but what I heard was a noise coming my way. And I was like, what is this? And it was a cell. And I think they mentioned to me that there's this cloud pattern called cells, cell. And what it is just like a pocket of, or a section of cloud that comes your way, and it sounds like it was a tornado, but it wasn't, luckily. And it passed over the building I was in, and I was like shocked, because I've never never been into anything that exciting before other than a hurricane. But with a hurricane, it's a big wide swath, but this thing is just something like it pops out of nowhere, and all of a sudden, not saying out of nowhere, but I guess it feels like it. And out of nowhere, you just this massive excitement of thunder and lightning and noise going on above you, and then it's gone. But just going through that experience is like shocking. But if you don't know that, you could be out doing business and you don't take cover. I remember another time I was in Michigan at a camp meeting in the Michigan conference, and they had a situation like that, everybody run for the basement. And I was like, what is this? But you don't know. But if you don't know, you could be just like, you're out there, you don't take cover. Next thing you go spinning in a funnel. Pure excitement. So this is the whole idea in life. You want to be able to take cover. Or if you don't, then you get punished. And so this is why you learn wisdom for living. This is where you learn about life. Because if you have an avoidable beatdown, why not get the avoidance? Why not learn how to avoid the beatdown? And is I'm having a problem clearing my throat here. Sorry, but it is the problem of life. And I remember even when I was younger, I would learn from people who said, Lord, if I knew certain things 10 years ago, I wouldn't have made the decision I made. And that used to puzzle me, because I used to be like, but how do you do that? And as I got older, I realized, oh, you can. Just go right on ahead and learn from people who now have learned that they have gone through those 10 years. And you say, hey, come here, I want to pick your brain. Tell me something. Explain this thing to me. And then, bam, you just wiped out 10 years of learning. Just learn from somebody who have learned. Then I realized the Bible is even better, because the Bible now gives you whole life stories of major incidents in people's life. Oh, some of them have lived, tens of years, and some have lived hundreds of years. You learn their experience, and so now you don't have to be inexperienced. You're very experienced because you've learned it from people who are old. Good News Translation renders it, sensible people will see trouble coming and avoid it, but an unthinking person will walk right into it and regret it later. This is what you don't want to do in life. So you come to learn. You approach the Bible and say, I want to learn. I don't want to be like the dum-dums in the society, the simpletons. I don't want to be inexperienced. I don't want to be unthinking. I want to know, because if I can avoid the beatdown, I'm going to avoid that beatdown, because it's unnecessary for me to go through life getting a beatdown. And I could simply learn by opening my mouth and say to somebody, could you tell me something? Or I could go to somebody that's dropping wisdom, and you learn that way. So a prudent man foreseeth the evil, hideth himself, but the simple pass on are punished. They get whacked in the head. So here's some quick ideas here in my mind when it comes on to being a prudent person, a person that is very rendered here, a person that is acting and showing thought for the future. You want to think about the future, because the future, we don't know how life is going to last. We don't know when things are going to wrap up. No man knowing the day or the time or the hour when the Son of Man cometh. So until then, you have to occupy. You want to occupy best and have the best outcomes. So accidental deaths are avoidable. When the Bible talks about the person goes on and get punished, you don't be that person that goes through accidental death. I remember I was seeing either the beginning of this year or last year, this young man that was doing YouTube videos, and he wanted, I guess, to become more famous. So he wanted his girlfriend to shoot him in his chest with a book in front of him. It just so happened with a small caliber gun, and it just so happened that she did it. But the bullet went through the book, hit him in the chest, he dies. And so you don't want to be that person. So go ahead and probably watch that video and then don't do that stunt. But many people die from accidental deaths. You always say that's kind of head scratching, because they're not prudent. They're living careless lives. They're not thinking about the future. They're thinking about just the here and now. And they do a lot of things that might seem like, oh, that's a fun stunt. And then you find out, wait a minute, there's a whole bunch of people dying from that stunt. That's not fun. So you learn, and you start to find out. One of the quick things that I found out in life is that there's a lot of people who are older that don't do things. And at first you might think they probably just got fearful, or it's probably their old bones might break and not reset. But you start realizing really quickly that it's probably not that. It's just that as you get older, you become more careful. And you realize, I have responsibility. I have to go to work tomorrow. It's not necessary for me to suffer a broken hand or a broken, leg or something like that. So I'm going to take some caution. A young person, they're like, man, watch me. I'm going to run and slap myself into this tree. And let's see the result of it. And it don't matter. They could spend 6 months semi-disabled. Brain can't work properly. And it doesn't matter. But when you have responsibility, you have kids, you have a family to take care of, you have bills to pay. You're not going to do something dumb and then can't pay your bills. Your finance crash and you cause yourself so much pain. So you take precaution. You avoid the trouble. You see trouble coming. And when I say you see trouble coming, you see it in all different ways. And you say, see if I go down this road, it's going to cause me problems. And you learn. Or the irresponsible person, They don't do that, and so they suffer some terrible consequences. You don't want to do that. You want to be able to take cover. You don't want to be the person that seems, oh yeah, I'm braver than everybody else, and then whap, they get all kind of beatings. As I say, prudent is often used in a person that's thinking about the future and acting and doing things for future. I know we often we can have an ideology in religion that makes us become very, in a sense, heavenly minded, and so we're no earthly good. That's normally how they say it. The person's thinking about heaven, heaven, heaven. That for here and now, they make so much terrible blunders because they're not focused on here and now. I believe that the more heavenly we are, the more minded we are, it should be the more earthly good, because we're living by eternal principles. So what does that mean for me living by eternal principles? Is that in the Bible outlines how a Christian should live. And part of that is being prudent. Prudent also in my finances, because trying to be the head, not the tail. Trying to lend, not borrow. All of that. So everything I'm doing, I'm trying to figure out how to increase my productivity, my usefulness, my service. The more you serve is the more you earn. So again, financial trouble is something that we have to be very prudent about. Don't see financial trouble, see them coming, and know how to avoid them and how to make choices that avoid them. And that's why I love the Bible, because the Bible gives us two of the greatest tools. It says you must work, and also the Bible teaches that we must control ourselves, have self-control. If you can kill pride, have self-control, and be a good worker, your financial trouble is partly dealt with. The other things that you have to do is know that you have to have a rainy day fund. You have to have a way to be able to deal with bad things that happen. Bad things always happen. Equipment break, whether that equipment is mechanical or electronic. Things need to be fixed. Things need to be repaired. Things go out of warranty and then they break and fall apart. It's just life. You always have to be able to suffer those ups and downs. And so these are what it is. So sometimes people say, oh, I have all these problems. They really don't have problems, so to speak. They don't make decisions that's based upon the future, because they think here and now. And so they say, well, I have 10 problems. You don't really have 10 problems. What you have is just 10 financial blunder because you don't think future. When you start thinking future, then those problems start to go away, because you start to predict those problems. You start to foresee them, because they're regular problems that everybody goes through. Future financial crash, know that, and it's something I'll be talking about as the upcoming months. Hopefully I don't wait too long, but I believe as we keep building an economy on wickedness, the more wickedness you build the economy on, it's the more the crash happens. So don't fool yourself. You can't build an economy on hate of minorities and poor people and the sick and the suffering, and believe that the curse of God will going to be upon it. So just know it's coming. I don't care what they tell me. Oh, but Lord, the stock market is doing good. Remember, the stock market is primarily the 1%ers and people's retirement funds. But it's primarily rich people. You know, they say you're going to stock market with $10,000. You're playing with people that's going in there with $50 million. So, you know, saying the stock market is doing good is not saying the economy is doing good. Just remember that the economy is not the 1%ers or the top 10% of earners. So don't fool yourself. We are as good as we take care of those who are less fortunate. So Ponzi schemes, get rich quick schemes. When you're prudent, you don't get involved with those things because you realize they won't last. The Ponzi scheme will fall apart. The get rich quick scheme has no solid maintenance. Somebody say, hey, look, Lord, you want to get into a business and you can get in there for as little as $500. Just walk away. That's foolishness. Blood, sweat, and tears. Blood, sweat, and tears. If they not tell you blood, sweat, and tears, you ain't gonna make no money. It's nonsense. It's short term. It's for the inexperienced. When you have some experience, you realize, where's the blood? I don't see no blood. Where's the cross? Where's the tears? None of that. Ain't no money to be made. Personal health choice. Your personal health choice, you know, you see the danger. And you say, man, if every day I get up and eat all this pesticide food, I can see the danger in it. Another person be like, man, I don't care. Give me the pesticide food. I'm not paying for organic. I'm not paying for naturally grown. I'm not gonna go to a local farmer who is growing organic and pay the price. So they're not gonna pay the price, but they're gonna pay the price, all right. So you see the danger coming, you avoid it. Another person be like, I don't care. Give me that hormone-filled chicken. So they're eating all that hormone-filled chicken and they can't understand why they're going berserk. The brain is unstable. They're having anxiety attack. But the chicken is sick and you sick. The chicken have anxiety and you have anxiety. But you see the danger coming. You say like, what, man, that chicken look weird. I'm not gonna eat it. Exercise in a bottle. Somebody come and say, hey, look, you can get this or you can get that. I know if you just take these capsules or these pills. I'm like, okay. So you avoid those dangers. Easy salvation. Somebody comes and preaches some false doctrine and tell you, if you believe in this false doctrine, you're going to be part of the 144,000. You're going to be sealed with the seal of God. You're God's special people. Really? You really believe that? Easy salvation. Salvation, anything that comes with easy salvation is always danger. Because that's the devil's trick, is always, hey, I'll give you the easy way. That's what he did with Adam and Eve. It's always the same method. No work religion, no works. You have these people that go there, oh, no works, just faith. You just walk away from that nonsense. It's going to cost you something. Christ tells you. Christ gives it away. Deny yourself, pick up your cross and follow him. How you read that and then turn around and say no works, salvation. You just have to have faith. Again, you're inexperienced. It's going to cost you something. There's going to be some blood, sweat, and tears. No character development. All you have to do is believe in these doctrines, believe in these 20-something doctrines, and you save. And really, and I'm telling you, it's easier to do, hey, we study these 20-something doctrines, you get baptized, and you join the church. It's easier to do that. The moment you start saying, hey, but you're going to have to do some character development also, people are like, okay, I'm out of here. It's easier to do church where you just preach doctrines or preach some prophecy or something. But the moment you get to the meat of the matter and you start stepping on people's toes by telling them, you need to find Jesus. You need to change, have some change. The Holy Spirit need to change you. And let people like, yeah, I'm out. Ignorance is bliss. That's another pitfall that people get whacked in the head over. They get caught in snares because they believe that they don't have to read the books. They don't have to study. They just have fun. They learn through TV. TV become their educational point of view. Just expect pure beatings and traps. You don't make books your enemy. If books is your enemy, I'm telling you, you have a miserable life. Unworthy poor. Don't support people who are unworthy poor. That's the devil's trick again. The devil is tricking them, and the devil will trick you. You're giving money to people who they're not worthy poor. Just remember, there's worthy poor. People who are unworthy poor, they have a trap for their life set. So they're living on handouts. They're living, they're thinking that says they're gonna, I guess this is another trick where people believe that they can go to school and they pay for some cheap school. They have a school that's been advertised on television. They go to that school and they believe that they're gonna get a job, but there's no guarantee that they're gonna get a job. Don't waste your time. Go to schools, like become a nurse or something. You have a job waiting for you. Become an electrician, a carpenter. You have a job waiting for you. Ruining love is a trick that people do for their kids, and it's a pitfall that the prudent never does. You never love. You always, you strike that balance. You love your kids, but don't love them by ruining them. Many people ruin their kids and make them become bubbling dolls. Cheap communities. Those are traps. Don't tell me that you're gonna live in the cheapest community and it has a red light district and it's the lowest rent, but it's the most violent area. Those are traps. Don't think, oh, I just need enough money to live so I can pay $500 a month for rent or $300 a month for rent. You have a bullet coming your way, and don't be silly in life. If it costs $300 a month for rent and you're not renting one room or something, you made a mistake. You go get mugged or killed or something like that. But so when you're prudent, you see that You'd be like, you know what, man, I'm going to do things, prepare for the future. I'm probably going to need to go back to school so I can rent in a place that's more expensive, and God's going to bless me. So a prudent person sees dangers and take precaution. You need to take precaution. Don't get whacked in your head. Don't get caught in a trap. God will bless you. Let us pray. Thank you, Lord, again for the wisdom that you bestow upon us. We pray, dear Lord, that we might always seek thee, seek thy face, seek to understand nature, your word. Listen to our conscience as your spirit speak to us. And may we humbly walk before thee, we pray for Christ's sake. Amen. Thanks for being with me here on Revive Reform Radio. Looking forward to talking to you Monday morning again live when we should do motivation. Until then, I pray that you may continue to walk with the King.